So have you heard about the pain body? That force within yourself which comes out every now and then that you may or may not identify with. You may or may not recognize as something else and not yourself, but if you do think is yourself, will be a rageful, spiteful, defensive, negative force that brings fear and pain both to yourself and to other people. Have you ever experienced the pain body telling you to hurt someone else? Or even worse, telling you to hurt yourself? To burn yourself? Or even sometimes to take your own life? It's not you. But we don't always recognize it as not us. Sometimes it's so easy to think that it is a part of us. It's as much a part of us as our love of nature, our love of breathing, our love of our parents or of our best friends. It's so easy to get lost in that feeling of the pain body because for some it comes out more than for others, but it's always there. And the difference between those who can maintain peace and equanimity, even in the face of the most negative of emotions, and the difference between them and the people who lose control and lash out and end up hurting themselves or end up hurting other people, is, I believe, their understanding of this phenomena of the pain body. Their understanding that when their rage comes out, it is not them. It is a false sense of their ego. It is a limited sense of their ego that's cut off from the rest of themselves, that wants to grow and live. It is their shadow coming out and wishing to spread itself. And more, especially as more light shines on it. Now, when I was younger, I used to experience intense rage. My mom and my dad and my brother are all very much ragers. We have a lot of rage, a lot of spiritedness in us. And I used to go wild, screaming, yelling, going crazy, hating on things, loving on things. Didn't matter. But the worst part of it is that I would want so much to hurt either my mom or my brother or my dad, to fight them, to really unleash and unload on them in ways that were totally out of control. And I remember vividly one night. It was one night in particular, and I believe I'd been reading Paramahansa Yogananda's autobiography of a yogi and Swami Muktananda's Play of Consciousness. And I remember reading about this idea of the witness, of illusion, the false self, the ego self, versus Purusha or Atman, the eternal self, the witness. And I remember reading this and thinking to myself, who am I? And maybe I read a little Ramana Maharshi too. And I was thinking to myself, who am I? Who am I really? Am I this false ego self that rages out of control and feels bad afterwards because it doesn't represent myself? It puts me forth as something that I'm not. I'm not a rageful person. I'm a peaceful person who loves love and happiness, not chaos, not craziness. Although I can't appreciate being wild and crazy and having fun, I don't appreciate that negativity. Yet this thing would reach out of side of me. I would see my mom and it would just rage. I would see its arms reach out through my chest and, like the Hulk coming out of my body. And that one night, I decided that I didn't have to be that way. And that was a very powerful moment. Because in that moment, I realized that it was true. I didn't have to be that way. Even though my body shook with anger, I didn't have to say any angry word. In fact, what I came to was that I should only speak loving, happy words. The more angry I was, the sweeter and more loving I would be. And I could feel the pain body raging inside of me. There's nothing it hates more than positivity. Yet still I was committed. And my whole body shook as I smiled at my mother and I hugged her as she went on about something that just enraged me. I was more and more sweet and more loving. And slowly but surely I felt this thing extinguished inside of me. I felt my power come out as I overcame it. And I've used this power for many other things in my life in very, very important ways. I mean, look, sticking to a strict vegan or vegetarian or raw food diet requires having that sort of power over your pain body, because your pain body wants to come out and it wants to feed you painful foods. It wants to feed you foods that are going to hurt you, that hurt other people, that hurt the environment, right? And then what do? You give in to it. You accept it as yourself, and you lose what? You lose your integrity. And your integrity is all you have. That's your wholeness. That's the feeling that you get, a feeling in power and control of your life, and not like crap and torn to pieces when after this experience, all you can think about is how you failed. All you could think about is how you were just possessed by something else that wasn't you, wasn't who you truly were, that led you to do something against your values. So be aware of your pain body today and see if by cultivating this awareness, you can also bring a sense of, no, I am not that. I am not that reaction. I can react in any way that I choose to. And that's my power, and I reserve that right, and I claim that right. And I expect nothing less of myself than maintaining my power and my sensibilities. Feel strong. Your pain body isn't real. And when you start to fight it, you'll feel it lash back out at you. And the irony of this is that it's just at that moment when you need to fight it most. So make love to your pain body and allow it to disappear like smoke. Much love and many blessings.